Hello, Father.
James? What are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just back for a few days, that's all.
Well, I don't want you down here. So get off out of it. Keep away from me. Do you understand?
Yes. Why?
None of your damn business. Just do as you're told. James. Look. Now you are here. Get over to Turner's place and tell that girl you'll marry her.
I'll do no such thing. Look, Father, we have been
Do
through
as
all
I
this
tell you,
before.
boy, you damn disobedient little bastard. Give me the gun. Give me the gun.
It's my life, and I'm gonna run it the way I like.
All right. Damn you. I'll throw you out. I'll ruin you. You see. Now get off out of it!
I had hardly gone any distance at all when I heard a terrible scream. I ran back down and found my father lying on his side.
Did you see anyone else?
No one.
No movement anywhere?
No, my attention was entirely on my father. He was terribly wounded.
You would not tell the coroner about this quarrel with your father?
It was something private. It was no business of his.
Was it not because this confrontation with your father might seem to incriminate you?
No. No, it was because it concerned Alice. It was no business of the coroner's or anyone else's. I wasn't going to have her name bandied about in the courtroom.
You do know that Alice loves you, James, and believes you to be innocent.
Yes, I know. The thought of her love and her faith in me has kept me in some sort of insanity in this horrible place.
And yet you did not wish to marry her, as your father so clearly wished. Perhaps you did not share her love.
I did. I do, Mr. Holmes. I love Alice Turner. I adore her. I worship the very ground she treads on. But...
And yet?
I could not ask her to marry me because I was married already.
Don't you think you'd better tell me about it?
When I first started studying in Liverpool, my father gave me a very generous allowance. Oh, it's too generous for my own good. I became very wild and fell in with a bad set of people. In a fit of drunken madness, I went through a form of marriage in a register office to a woman much older than I was. A barmaid. I hardly ever saw Alice at that time. Of course, I couldn't tell my father. He would certainly have thrown me out, as he'd so often threatened.
Yes, I'm sure he would. Have you any idea who could have killed your father so brutally?
None whatsoever. Do you know, I go over the scene day after day after day in my mind. But I am as puzzled as everyone else is.
Don't give up hope.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Oh, Mr. Holmes. It hardly concerns all this business, but perhaps I should tell you. Some good has come out of this evil. Since I've been in here, I've received a message from the woman I married, who has read in the newspapers that I am in serious trouble and likely to be hanged. She wrote that she had a husband already in the Bermuda dockyard.
Good heavens.
So, there is no legal tie between us. If only I had known before.
You're right to tell me.
Poor fellow. Must have been maddening to be upbraided by his father for not doing something he would give his very eyes to do. If he's innocent, who did it?
Indeed.
Well, perhaps I can help. I've not been entirely idle in your absence. In the surgeon's deposition at the inquest, it states that the posterior third of the left parietal bone and the left half of the occipital bone were shattered by blows from a blunt weapon. Now, that's here, behind. But the evidence states that they were quarreling face to face.
That's a very nice piece of deduction, Watson.
Thank you.
But hardly a valid one. MacArthur could have easily turned his back the moment the girl had run off. But I'm so glad that you're coming round to my way of thinking. And Miss Turner's, the boy, is innocent.
Now, Holmes, you're putting words into my mouth. I didn't say that.
But you're thinking it. Just a little.
Those boots were the ones the master was wearing at the time he was murdered, sir. I've cleaned them up since, of course. Those were a pair of Master James's. He bought them new last Michaelmas.
Thank you, George. Now, let us go down to the mere.
This is the place, Mr. Holmes. You can still see traces of the blood.
Please, would you keep clear of this area? Why did you enter the mere, Inspector?
Well, fished about with the rake. I thought there might be some weapon thrown there or some other trace.
If only I'd been here before they came, like a herd of buffalo, and wallowed all over it. This must be the gamekeeper and his gang. These tracks are young MacArthur's. And these. Twice he walked. He turned. Once he ran. So the soles of the feet are deeply marked, the heels are hardly visible. That would bear out his story. He ran when he saw his father on the ground.
Doesn't work at it, I'll say that.
The father paced up and down, right here. What have we here? Tiptoes. Tiptoes. Square toes. Most unusual boots. Where did Mr. Square Toes come from?
You'd made a rare bloodhound for Mr. Holmes.
Ah. It has been a case of considerable interest. Come. Thank you, George.
Thank you, sir.
Would you deliver this note?
Yes, sir, indeed. Right away.
This way, Mr. Inspector. The murder was done with it.
I've seen no marks.
There are none.
Well, how do you know then?
The grass was growing under it. It's only been there a few days. It corresponds with the injuries.
And the murderer?
He's a tall man, left-handed, limps with the right leg, wears thick-soled shooting boots with square toes, smokes Indian cigars, uses a cigar holder, and carries a blunt penknife in his pocket.
You're a brilliant man, Mr. Holmes, and I wish I had your brains. Your theories are all very well, but I'm still not convinced. Not this time. We have to deal with a hard-headed British jury.
Well, you've had your chance, Inspector.
I'm a practical man, Mr. Holmes. I cannot undertake to go all around the country looking for a left-handed gentleman with a gamby leg. As to become the laughingstock of Cheshire.
We shall see. You work your method. I shall work mine. Now, let us take this morning's work. From my examination of the ground, I gained details as to the personality of the criminal.
But how?
You know my method. It is founded upon the observance of trifles.
Well, his height, I know you might roughly judge by the length of his stride, his boots by his traces, but the man's lameness.
The impression of his right foot was always less distinct than that of the left. Why? Because he limped.
His left-handedness. The blow was delivered from immediately behind, and yet it was on the left-hand side.
Watson.
He must have been a left-handed man, of course.
He stood behind that tree during the confrontation between father and son. He even smoked there.
Smoked?
Cigar ash. An Indian cigar. You will remember my little monograph on the subject of ashes from pipe, cigar, and cigarette tobacco.
100 different varieties, if I remember.
140, thank you, Watson. Having discovered the ash, I discovered this stump, which the man had thrown among the moss. An Indian cigar rolled in Rotterdam. You will notice that the end has not been in his mouth. So he used a cigar holder. The tip has been cut off, not bitten. But the cut is not a clean one, so I deduced a blunt penknife.
Amazing.
Among the words mumbled by the dying man, the only word that young McCarthy could understand was the word rat.
Rat. Most curious.
Come with me. Now, what do you read?
A rat.
And now?
Ball a rat. Ball a Ballarat.
That is the word the man uttered.
Australia.
Someone from Ballarat. What is Ballarat known for?
Those goldfields. Miss Turner said that her father had met McCarthy on the goldfields. I see the direction in which all this points.
An Australian from Ballarat and one who was at home in the district. Yes, I'm very much mistaken. He's here.